Hello everyone. Okay, so our last tutorial we finished off by working on the like really basic stuff. It's really boring to be honest with you. This is all we got. Kind of sad. But hopefully you're getting the basics. So now we're going to work on making this look a little better. Okay, actually this tutorial is going to be focused on IDs and classes, the attributes you can put into things. So we're going to change this paragraph tag and add in ID equals para and then class equals graph. And I'll explain this all in a minute. Okay, now watch. And okay, para. And we're going to make this have a width of 300 pixels and a height of 25 pixels. And the graph part, we're going to have it have a border of, and I'm not going to explain all of this to you guys yet. I'm just typing it, and I'll explain it to you later in a later tutorial, so when we cover it. Border 2 pix solid. We're going to go red. Okay, so now I'll explain the IDs in class. Okay, it has an ID, which in style sheet is located by this little hashtag number sign thing, okay? Hashtag para. And that I just named it para because that's the first part of graph, or paragraph, so para. So ID equals para. So this looks through the entire document for one thing that has an ID of para. It found it, so it gave it these new style attributes, and it changed its width to be 300 pixels wide and 25 pixels high, tall. Okay. So, and its class. Now, class, you can have 1,000 different classes. Just separate them by a space. And by the way, I'm pretty sure classes and IDs cannot begin with numbers or any kind of special characters. I just always name all of my classes and IDs with only characters. No, only like things that are found in the alphabet. I never put numbers or anything else because it just makes things more complicated for me. So, and now classes in CSS are found by things with the period and then graph. So it's finding a class or an element with a class of graph, okay? And then it's adding a border to the element that is 2 pixels wide, and it's solid, so there's no dots or breaks or anything in it. And then it's just red. The color is red. Alright? So that's all border is. Oh, and you'll notice for CSS you need a semicolon after every line that's like that, or watch what happens now that I took the semicolon out. Oh, well, it's actually working. Well, usually you do. Let me try taking this one out and see what happens to our text. There, see? Since we took it out now, it never knew that this line was supposed to end. Because if I do that, watch. It still thinks it's all. Okay, maybe you can't separate the tag or the attribute name itself, but you can do that, and it still works. So it needs the semicolon to tell it when the line is over with. Anyway, back to this. Now our paragraph has an ID of para and a class of graph. Hello world, blah 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 blah. A whole bunch of weird stuff. Okay. So, yeah. Now, I'm going to get to work on showing you all some better stuff, like positioning. Alright? And I promise we will get to the actual blog making thing after we get the basics down. I promise you. That is going to come up probably after I show you some more sophisticated techniques of CSS and HTML and stuff. I'm I would say around episode 10 we might get started on it, but even then we might not even be ready to. Just depends on how things work, okay? So, because I don't plan everything out really, I just go by ear. Anyway, positioning. Okay. So we're going to do this in yet another. So we're going to call it paragraph position. See, that's a second class separated by a space in the class variable thing. So, period to find graph or all of the classes. Oh, that's another thing. You can only have the CSS when it finds a ID, it only finds the first one. It won't find more than one and change it. But with classes, these things with a period to begin them, it finds every single one with that class. So classes are a lot more flexible and a lot more useful. So I advise using them over IDs almost all the time, except for when you're doing JavaScript, because IDs are a lot more helpful in that, at least to me, with how I do JavaScript. But we aren't even doing JavaScript yet, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, paragraph position class. Margin left 10 pixels. Margin top 100 pixels. And that should be good for positioning it. Now that we've done that, watch. It moved over. Okay? So, we changed where it goes. And if we wanted to, I'll show you all what this means in a minute. But margin left auto, margin right auto. Now watch, it's perfectly centered, okay? Now, I'm going to warn you all, I am not going to be watching my tutorials on HTML and CSS is not going to make you a master at it. I advise going out, finding tutorials online, not like w3schools.org. I think it's a .org. Might be .com. But just Google and Bing and all those search engines are really good for this kind of thing. Because I'm not going to be able to show you everything. I'm just showing you what I think of at the time. And 7 minutes so far. So I'll keep working and try and wrap this up soon. Seeing as all I'm doing is working on, seeing as this whole tutorial is just IDs and classes, which I've already covered. But might as well get some more in there. So here it is. And now I'll show you margin. Okay, margin is just the how far. It's like a it's its personal space. Okay, so it's got its own personal space of exactly what it is, and then it also wants space from everybody else. It wants some elbow room. Okay, it doesn't want to be crowded. So the margin gives it some room to breathe. All right, that's what margin does. However, if we took out the margin and say just did top 10 pixels and right 10 pixels. Well, right won't work right now, but anyway, to do that you need position. I'll show you all of that later. Anyway. Wait, nope, didn't want to get rid of that entirely. Fail. Alright, well, I guess that's it for this tutorial. Bye.